my channel. You know, I was having this dilemma of like recording and posting and all this stuff, and I'm like, Cassie, you fixed your memory issue because you have an external hard drive now, and so you can just record whenever you want to record, make the videos, and just hold on to it until it's time to post. So when you're in the mood to record, just record. Just make the video. So that is kind of what I'm doing right now, is I am just gonna make a video. So this is a book haul. I can honestly say I do not remember a lot of books that I have gotten or that I already kind of had if they're on the newer side of the spectrum. Because when my bookshelf decided to die a horrible death, my books got mixed with recent and the more recent to very recent. They all just got very mixed. So some of these I may have already done a haul on. I don't think I have, but I might have. And then some of these are actually, you know, new. So we're just gonna go with it and kind of see what happens here. I love this place, and I love their Cloud9 matcha lattes. They're amazing. So I did just kind of go back to my last book haul to kind of see what I recently already have done a book haul on. But that leaves, like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 books, it looks like. And I'm sure that if you've watched any of my videos before, you have probably seen a few of these because they have been on my TBRs for the last couple months. Like, I want to read this, I want to read this, and then, hey, guess what? I didn't read them, but I keep saying that I want to read them. And so they just kept putting back on my TBR. So one of those, which you've probably heard me talk a lot about, is Clown in a Cornfield by Adam Cesar. This was a new book for me. It's essentially about this town that the older generation, it just does not want to change. Hi, Dean. Hi. No, you can come over here and lay down over here. Thank you, sir. Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So the older generation in this town they don't like change. They don't want to change. They want it to be as it was in the old times. And of course, you know, all the teenagers just like, no, we want things to move forward. We want things to progress. And it kind of takes a very dark, twisted turn. And this is a YA. I actually have read this, but I will go about my thoughts of that and my rating for it when I do my wrap-up video that should be coming out, or it should already be out, because this one I think I'm posting after the wrap-up to kind of space things out a little bit. So you'll find out what I think of this in my wrap-up, or you already watched it. Anyway, that's very confusing. That's very confusing. Next is Dark Water Daughter, which is book 1 of the Winter Sea by H.M. Long. I'm not gonna lie, this was a little bit of a cover by. It was a little bit of cover by. I think it's pretty. But let's see. Mary Firth is a storm singer, a woman whose voice can still hurricanes and shatter armadas. Faced with servitude to pirate lord Sylvanus Lear, Mary offers her skills to his arch rival in exchange for protection and helping send Lear to a watery grave. Thank you, Dean. But her new ally has a vendetta of his own, and Mary's dreams are dark and full of gistings, spectral creatures who inhabit the ancient forests of her homeland and the figureheads of ships. That's interesting. Samuel Roser is a disgraced naval officer serving aboard Hart, an infamous privateer commissioned to bring Lear to justice. He will stop at nothing to capture Lear, restore his good name, and reclaim the only good thing that stands between himself and madness, a talisman stolen by Mary. Finally driven into the internal ice of the limits of their world, Mary and Samuel must choose their loyalties and battle forces older and more powerful than the pirates who would make them slaves. So that's actually really interesting. And I'm sad that I didn't actually read the synopsis in its entirety before. I just kind of, just cover and then, it was cover pretty much. So let's not talk about this anymore. Next one that I got is Lark by Alex Astor. I've heard some things about this, and so I was like, I really kind of want to check this out. So welcome to the Centennial. Every 100 years, the island of Lark appears for only 100 days to host a deadly game where the rulers of 6 realms fight to break their curses and win unparalleled power. Each ruler has something to hide. Each curse is uniquely wicked. To break them and save themselves and their realms, one ruler must die. To survive, Isla Crown must lie, cheat, betray, even as love complicates everything. So, that sounded interesting. I've heard good things about it. I also really like the cover. I'm not gonna lie about it. So there's another one. So next, I don't know if I've done this one yet before or not. It was not on my previous book haul. Hey guys, don't start. Don't do it. Don't do it. Misha let Dean buy, and then Dean get a different toy, because I know you're fighting over the toy. That's the most important thing here, is they're fighting over the toy. And because Dean wants the toy, he won't get by Misha, but because Misha is like right there with the toy, she won't let him get by. It is a thing. But anyway. So the next book, I don't know if I have done a haul on this or not. I didn't see it in my last one. It might have been in the one before. I'm honestly not sure. But it is Never by Jessa Hastings, and that, I'm sorry, that's a beautiful cover to me. And it just kind of, the back is also kind of really pretty. But this is kind of something to do with Neverland, maybe Peter Pan. Never is an awfully long time. Growing up, Daphne always knew Peter Pan, okay, there you go, would come for her the way he'd come for her mother and her grandmother, Wendy, before that. The Darling Girls. Their stories are all the same. The forever young boy at their window after their 13th birthday and the shimmering magical land behind a star. When Peter doesn't show for Daphne until she's 17, inexplicably full grown and with no excuse for his tardiness, Daphne doesn't know what to think. Still, she has always been told that Peter Pan is her destiny. It's beyond choice to take his hand and leap into the stars no matter what comes next. But in Neverland, Peter's true colors begin to show. One moment he's making Daphne's heart flutter, and the next he's forgotten her entirely. So when Daphne stumbles into the path of Jameson Hook, the pirate son of Peter's nemesis, she lets herself get swept up in his vulgar charm, despite the warning signs. Both boys are trouble, and both have dangerous secrets about this strange fantasy land they call home, and if she loses her heart to either one, Daphne might just lose herself too. So, very interesting. I guess Peter is a teen now in this, if I read that correctly, and that Captain Hook apparently has a son. So that's interesting. So yeah, I am interested in reading that. And then I've got The Archer at Dawn, which is the sequel to A Tiger at Midnight, and it is by Swati Terdalia. I probably butchered that, and I'm so sorry if I did. But I read the first book. I read A Tiger at Midnight a few years back, and I remember that I really liked it. And of course, you know, this is when I was in my YA phase, and so I liked it. I don't know if it would still stand the test of time now that I'm a little bit more out of my YA phase and I'm more into the adult phase, which, considering my age, it took me a while to get out of the YA phase, but I like what I like, okay? Doesn't matter if it's, you know, kids or middle grade or young adult or adult or what genre, I'm gonna like it if I like it. But I remember that I really liked the first one, and then it, you know, I read it, the first one, when it first came out, and so of course the sequel didn't come out until a year or so later, and then, you know, other things just kept coming up, and I was just like, okay, well, you know, I'll get it when it's used, you know, when the price on it drops. And so I found it at Second and Charles for $4.95, and I was like, you know, why not? I would actually like to eventually read this. I honestly don't know. Okay, it's a trilogy. So apparently The Chariot at Dusk is the third one. I'm assuming that that's out now since it's in this book and this is the sequel. Which is interesting. First paperback edition, 2021. So was it out, or were they just what's the word, advertising the third one that wasn't out yet in the second one? I don't know how that works, but anyway, apparently it's a trilogy. So we're going to just see if I like this one like I liked the first one, which I'm not sure, because YA has definitely been hitting me differently the past year or so. So we're just gonna have to see how that works. But I'm hopeful, okay? I'm hopeful. So there's that one. Another one that I got used that is also YA is Crave by Tracy Wolff. I found this at Second and Charles as well, hardback for $5.95. And I've heard a lot of people, you know, they really, well, not a lot of people, maybe it's just young adult, I don't know, but I've heard a lot about it, and I've heard a lot of people, you know, they like it. They seem to generally like it. And so, you know, I think it might have like a hello receipts. Goodbye receipts. I think it might have something to do with like vampires or something like that, but kind of like Twilight-y, but also a little bit more expansive than Twilight. I don't think that it sticks to just vampires and shifters and then vaguely mentioning, I want to say, werewolves. So I want to give it a try, and it was, you know, only $5.95, so I was like, why not give it a try, right? My whole world changed when I stepped into the academy. Nothing is right about this place or the other students in it. Here I am, a mere mortal among gods or monsters. I still can't decide which of these warring factions I belong to, if I belong at all. I only know the one thing that unites them is their hatred of me. Then there's Jackson Vega, a vampire with deadly secrets who hasn't felt anything for 100 years. But there's something about him that calls to me, something broken in him that somehow fits with what's broken in me, which could spell death for us all. Because Jackson walled himself off for a reason, and now someone wants to wake a sleeping monster. And I'm wondering if I was brought here intentionally as the bait. So one thing about this at the moment, just reading the synopsis, it's just like, okay, so you're in an academy, and I'm assuming that since you're immortal, that you're probably a teen. I mean, it is a YA book, so you're probably a teen, in your late teens, maybe 16, 17, I don't know. And yet, for some reason, there is a vampire that's at this academy he's, you know, not felt anything for 100 years, and I'm just kind of like, how old, you know, how long does a vampire have to stay in school? How old do they need to be before they can go to school? I have questions. I can already see that this is going to be very interesting when I get to it. So, there's that one. I think that this one is also another possible YA, if I remember correctly. But, excuse me, I loved her other series. And I think it was A Number in the Ashes, if I remember correctly. I loved that series. And so, you know, YA or not, I have to read it. I have to give it a try. I had to have it. So it is Air by Sabaa Tahir. So I know that this one I haven't done. This is a recent publication. So an orphan, an outcast, a prince, and a killer who will bring an empire to its knees. Growing up in the Kagari slums, Eyes has seen her share of suffering, and old tragedy fuels her need for vengeance. But it is love of her people that propels her, until one hot-headed mistake lands her in an inescapable prison where the embers of her wrath ignite. Banished from her people for an unforgivable crime, Saoirse is a down-on-her-luck tracker who uses magic to trace her marks. Destitute, she agrees to hunt down a killer who has murdered children across the Martial Empire. All she has to do is carry out the job and get paid. But when a chance encounter leads to an unexpected attraction, Saoirse learns her mission might cost her far more than she's willing to give up. Quill is the crown prince of the empire and nephew of a venerated empress, but he's loath to take the throne when his aunt steps down. As the son of a reviled emperor, he, better than anyone, understands that power corrupts. When a vicious new enemy threatens the survival of the empire, Quill must ask himself if he can rise above his tragic lineage and be the heir his people needs. So that sounds pretty cool. And then, you know, that's nice. I don't generally see, you know, titles in color on, like, some, you know, you'll see sometimes they're like the silver or the gold, or sometimes they just won't have it at all a lot of the times. So that's kind of cool. And then I also kind of like that the map is done in this light blue color, like different shades of blue. That's really pretty. So, Air. And next one I just got in the other week, and that is The Fury of Gods by John Gwynne. And I love this cover. Look at that. I love it. Oh, I love it. Sad thing about this is that I love John Gwynne's writing. I loved his first quartet. But I haven't read the other trilogy that he put out, nor have I read book 1 or 2 of this trilogy. But I own them all. And I love the fact that I own them all. And that's just how it is. That's just all there is. So this guy, I don't know where I put the first book. It's probably somewhere back here, maybe. Oh yeah, no, it's right there. But yeah, so this guy, very excited about this. If you haven't read Malice, give it a try. It's really good. Next one we're gonna do is, I think I talked about this in my very tentative November TBR last night, and that is A Reign of Rose by Kate Golden. I read A Dawn of Onyx and A Promise of Periodite. I really enjoyed both of those, so I really want to get to this one. This is the end of the trilogy, the third one in the trilogy, and I would really like just to finish a series. I don't feel like I finished a series in a while. I feel like I start a lot of series and then I wait for the books to come out, and then I just kind of fall off that wagon of that series and I never really get back to the series. So I would really like to read this, hopefully soon, so that I can finally finish a series. Because I swear it has been a really long time since I've finished the series. At least it feels that way. Let's see. What else do I got over here? I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 more books here, looks like. I have Fantasia by Kaylee Smith. The only thing deadlier than losing the game is losing your heart. It's a very interesting cover. I heard people on the Discords that I'm a part of liked this, so I want to give it a shot. It says Fantasia only has 2 rules: stay alive and don't fall in love. When Ophelia discovers her mother brutally murdered, there is no time to grieve. She has inherited the family's fearsome magic and enormous debt. Circumstances go from dire to deadly, however, when Ophelia's sister decides to pay off the loan by entering Fantasia, a competition where contestants rarely escape alive, and the victor is granted a single wish. The only way for Ophelia to save her sister is to win, but Fantasia is a cursed manor full of twisting corridors and lavish ballrooms, staffed by enticing demons and fatal temptations. And Ophelia must conquer all 9 floors to succeed if her fears don't overtake her first. When a charming, arrogant stranger claims he can help, Ophelia knows better than to trust him. But with her sister's life on the line, Ophelia can't afford to turn him away. She'll just need to ignore the overwhelming dark attraction, drawing them closer and closer together, because in Fantasia, the only thing deadlier than losing the game is losing your heart. So, it's interesting. I really want to give it a try. We'll see if I get to it eventually. One day. I don't know. Another is The Mercy of God by James S. Corey, which is the first book in his new series. I do not know how long it's going to be, but the series is called The Captive's War. And if you don't know, he is the author of The Expanse, which is also a really good series. I recommend reading that, or at least attempting to read book 1. I mean, everybody has different tastes, so, I enjoyed book 1. I never got past, I want to say book 4 or 3 or 4. I think I read 3. I was supposed to read 4, and I don't think that I did, but I still really want to. But anyway, let me read the synopsis of this. Let's see. The Carrix, part Empire, part Hive, has waged wars of conquest for centuries, destroying or enslaving species across the galaxy in its conflict with an ancient and deathless enemy. When they descend on the isolated world of Anjin, the human population is abased, slaughtered, and put in chains. The best and brightest are abducted, taken to the Carrix World Palace to join prisoners from 1,000 other species. David Alcor, assistant to a prestigious scientist, is captured along with his team. Even he doesn't suspect that his peculiar insight and skills will be the key to seeing past their captor's terrifying agenda. Swept up in a conflict beyond his control and vaster than his imagination, David is poised to become humanity's champion and its betrayer. This is where his story begins. So I did like what I read of The Expanse, so I'm hoping I'm also going to really enjoy this as well. And I need my drink. Because I've been doing a lot of talking. Reading, talking, whatever, same thing. Alright, so next. A Tide of Black Steel by Anthony Ryan. I read his other trilogy. The book one is The Pariah. I don't know the name of the series itself. I want to say it's like The Steel Covenant or something like that. But I read book 1 and 2 of that. I really enjoy them. I'm hoping to get the book 3 soon. And so when I saw that this was coming out, I was like, yes, I want to read this because I really enjoyed his other series. So a new age has dawned, an age of blood and steel, an age of wrath. The land of Ascalia, a fabled realm of bloodied steel and epic sagas, has been ruled by the sinister queens for centuries. No one has dared question their rule until now. Whispers speak of long ships of mysterious tattooed warriors sailing under the banner of a murderous cult of oath breakers, long thought extinct. A tide of black steel that threatens to vanquish all in its path. Thera of the Black Spear, favored servant of the sister queens, is ordered to uncover the truth. As Thera sails north, her reviled brother, Felnir, sets out on his own adventure. He hopes to find the vaults of the Altvar, the treasure room of the gods, and win the sister queen's favor at his sister's expense. Both siblings, along with a brilliant young scribe and a prisoner with a terrifying primal power, will play a part in the coming storm. The Age of Wrath has begun. I'm really hoping I'm going to love this as much as I loved The Pariah and The Martyr. And I really hope that I'm also going to love The Traitor, which is the third book in that other trilogy that I have not read yet. But I will. I swear I will. I'm going to do these two at the same time. I'm not going to read their synopsis because I'm pretty sure that they're like a collection of short stories in each one of these. And that is Five Nights at Freddy's, Fazbear Frights 1 and 2, Into the Pit, and Fetch. Which I'm sure if you've watched other videos by me, especially with my TBRs like the past month or two, I have probably mentioned both of these books multiple times. So we're not gonna worry about this. We're not gonna go over this again. Another one that I recently got was Ghost Eaters by Clay McLeod Chapman. I got this kind of because one of my friends on the Discord, Cassidy, really liked it. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm going to give it a shot. And it was, it was not what I was expecting. I have read this. Again, you'll find out about it in my wrap up. Or you would have heard about it. That's very confusing. I'm just going to say what I say and just stick with it. Because I'm going to confuse myself. But anyway, this was not what I thought it was going to be about, but it was still really interesting. Pretty much, it's about a drug, surprisingly enough. But it is a horror book. Be aware of that. There are some scenes that are kind of interesting. But yeah, if you want to hear, or you probably heard all about it, but in the wrap up, I'll go over this. So yeah, it was interesting. I don't know what else I can say outside of the fact that it was interesting. It's not what I thought it was going to be. Then I have The September House, which I believe I just mentioned in my tentative November TBR by Carissa Orlando, that, you know, I eventually want to hopefully get to. Let's see. A woman is determined to stay in her dream home even after it becomes a haunted nightmare in this compulsively readable, twisty, and layered debut novel. When Margaret and her husband Hal bought the large Victorian house on Hawthorne Street for sale at a surprisingly reasonable price, they couldn't believe they finally had a home of their own. When they discovered the hauntings, every September the walls drip blood, the ghosts of former inhabitants appear, and all of them are terrified of something that lurks in the basement. Most people would flee. Margaret is not most people. After 4 years, Margaret has learned how to live with the house. It's her house, after all. But Hal can't take it anymore, and he leaves abruptly. Now he's not returning calls, and their daughter Catherine, who knows nothing about the apparitions, arrives, intent on looking for her missing father. To make things worse, September has just begun, and with each attempt by Margaret and Catherine to find Hal, the hauntings grow more harrowing, because there are some secrets the house needs to keep. So, very interested in reading this. I would love to read it before the end of October because, spooky season and all that. Maybe a little bit in December, or not December, November. I'll also kind of consider spooky season and I might get to it then. Hopefully. Well, it is on my November TBR. So hopefully I will get to it, but I don't know because, it just depends on the mood. I'm all over the place. Next one, horror movie by Paul Tremblay, I believe is how you say that. I'm sorry, I know I'm butchering a lot of this. But in June 1993, a group of young guerrilla filmmakers spent 4 weeks making horror movie, a notorious, disturbing art house horror flick. The weird part, only 3 of the film's scenes were ever released to the public, but horror movie has nevertheless grown a rabid fan base. 3 decades later, Hollywood is pushing for a big budget reboot. The man who played the Thin Kid is the only surviving cast member. He remembers all too well the secrets buried within the original screenplay, the bizarre events of the filming, and the dangerous crossed lines on set that resulted in tragedy. As memories flood back in, the boundaries between reality and film, past and present, start to blur. But he's going to help remake the film, even if it means navigating a world of cynical producers, egomaniacal directors. I'm having problems with the maniacal? Maybe it's maniacal directors. And surreal fan conventions. Demons of the past be damned. But at what cost? So, very interested in reading that. Hopefully, soon. We'll see. And then, I have liked some of the sci-fi horror that I've read, Dead Silence, and oh my god, what is the other one that I just read? Ghost Station. I've also liked reading about AI in general. I liked it in the books that I read for the Murderbot series, which I still need to continue in that series. And I really liked the AI in the trilogy that, what is her name? Megan O'Keefe or something like that wrote. Where is that? Oh, there it is. Yeah, Megan E. O'Keefe, she wrote Velocity Weapon. Just back there. I don't know if you can see right there. That trilogy, I really enjoyed that. I flew through it, binged it, loved it. And so this is William by Mason Cole, which as a hardback, it's not the same size as other hardbacks. I think that it's like kind of the size of like paperbacks, because that kind of fits. But when you put it up against a hardback, it don't fly. It don't fly, which it bothers me a little, just a little, but I'll get over it. But William, let's see. Henry is a brilliant engineer who, after untold hours spent in his home lab, has achieved a breakthrough of his career. He's created an artificially intelligent consciousness. He calls the half-formed robot William. No one knows about William. Henry's agoraphobia keeps him inside the house, and his fixation on his project keeps him up in the attic, away from everyone, including his pregnant wife, Lily. When Lily's co-workers show up, wanting to finally meet Henry and see the new house, the smartest of smart homes, Henry decides to introduce them to William, and things go from strange to much worse. Soon, Henry and Lily discover the security upgrades intended to keep danger out of the house are even better at locking it in. So, very interested in that. And it doesn't look long at all. I mean, looks can be deceiving, but it's only 213 pages. So that is relatively short. But I am looking forward to reading this. So yeah. Those are all of the books that I want to say that I've gotten within like the last 4 months, which, considering how many books that I used to get in the span of 4 months, that's like maybe half. So I think I'm doing pretty good with my whole trying to not buy as many books before I read them type situation. Still not doing great at it, but I'm doing better. That's what matters. Progress. So that is it for this video. I know it's gotten a little long. I apologize for that. I did have a lot of books to kind of go through, read about. But if you like this video, like it. Subscribe if you want to see more by me. And I will see you next time.